I'd like to really start off here by acknowledging a lot of the contractors and people that we've already worked with in the area. It's really nice to come to a venue like this and see a lot of the people that we've already worked with in the past, and being from the Vancouver region, I've certainly felt welcome coming up here, and I thank you for that. We're going to talk a little bit about New Gold, who we are as a company, and then talk specifically about what we've done at the New Afton project, which is outside of Kamloops, and the Blackwater Gold Project, our newest, most exciting project just south of Vanderhoof. I'll talk a little bit about what we've been doing in the past, and Mitch will talk a little bit more about the actual opportunities that we see coming up in the next few years with the Blackwater Project. So I've got one of these cautionary statements as well. Mine's 2 pages long, and I'm not too sure if that's reflective of the maturity of Thompson Creek or the immaturity of New Gold as a company. But I won't go into any details on this. Suffice to say that don't listen too closely to anything I say and run out and buy a lot of stock in the company. So New Gold is a new company. We're what's typically called an intermediate gold producing company. We're about 6 or 7 years old. We came about as an amalgamation of 3 other companies. They had mines in Australia, the Peak Mine, the Mesquite Mine in California, and the Cerro San Pedro in Mexico. They're all pure gold producing mines. Our newest mine is the New Afton mine, which is located just south of Kamloops, as I mentioned before. That's a copper gold mine that went into full commercial production a few months ago. After being in construction for, I think the construction period is about 3 years on that project. It's an underground mine that I'll talk a little bit more about in a couple minutes here. New Afton is 100% owned by New Gold. It's, as I said, an underground mine. Some of you may have seen it as you're driving in from Cache Creek. It's just off the highway. It's an old open pit mine. They found a lot of resources on the outside of it, so we've actually are going underground at this point. We had about close to 800 employees during construction. Now that we're into operation, the operational phase of the last few months, we've geared down, and there's about 400 people that work there. About 75% of them are from the Kamloops region, and about 25% of those are of Aboriginal descent. So I won't talk about all the awards we've won, but New Afton was really groundbreaking in a lot of our relationships with First Nations. We quickly established, when New Gold took over the project, a participation agreement with the Kamloops Band and with the Skeetchison Band that formed a joint venture, and that formed the basis for a very, very successful partnership moving forward, that we're looking to use the same sort of model on the Blackwater Gold Project south of Vanderhoof. A lot of the local contracts were related to the contracting stage of it, and a lot of those contracts at this point have rolled over into the operational phase as we move forward. So out of the roughly $800 million that was spent on the construction period, about half of that, about $375 million, was awarded to local businesses and contractors in that area. We certainly, for Blackwater, look to replicate that, if not exceed that, in the future. So I'll talk a little bit more about Blackwater, which is more closer to this region. Blackwater is another 100% owned project by New Gold. We acquired the project in June of 2011 from a junior mining company called Richfield Ventures. It's about 160 kilometers from Prince George, but it's accessed off of a Forest Service road from the Vanderhoof region. And it's about a 2 to 3 hour drive from Vanderhoof, so about 4 hours from Prince George if you drive. It's got a good road system heading straight into it. It's only got about 10 kilometers of road that we need to upgrade to actually get into the deposit area. So right now we're in what's typically called an advanced exploration phase. What that means really is we're looking at the resource in a lot of detail right now, so there's a lot of drills on the site that I'll talk about in a minute. And we're looking at, we're just moving into right now a feasibility stage for the project. That just kicked off about a couple months ago, and we're hoping to wrap that up by the end of this year. We've also just moved into the federal and provincial environmental assessment phase, and again, we're looking at filing an environmental impact assessment towards the end of this year after the feasibility study. And all in, we're hoping to get into construction about 2015, first or second quarter. So I think in the interest of time, I'll try to skip through a couple of these overview slides pretty quickly here. This just gives you an overview of how the road access works to the site on this. A couple of things I wanted to really point out on here was, as we envision the mine, as we move forward into construction and operations, we look pretty carefully at all the different road access sites to it, and there's really only one road that's there to access the site, and that's coming directly due south from Vanderhoof. We're also looking at a power line construction that would run up roughly to the Indaco substation close to Burns Lake, and then the mine site itself, of course. So those are kind of the three major components that we see moving forward. Mitch will talk a little bit more about some of the contracting opportunities that we see coming out of the construction of those three. The Blackwater Project is going to be an open pit project. About 60,000 tons per day is what we're currently envisioning as part of the preliminary economic assessment that we released about 2 months ago. It's got about a $1.8 billion capex associated with it. It's about a 17-year mine life. I think, as was pointed out earlier today, a lot of the initial mine life, I think including Mount Milligan actually, started out around 17 or 18 years. And as we continue to explore and continue to find more resources in the area, we see that as expanding outwards too as well. So we're looking at probably about somewhere between 1,000 to 1,500 people during construction. We will have a camp on site, and about 500 people during the operational phase of it, which we would hope to get into commercial production around 2017. So just looking backwards a little bit here, it's an interesting project. I've been working in mining for close to 30 years now, and this is certainly within Western countries the largest exploration project I've been involved in. We spent about $130 million last year on exploration, and to put that into context, within British Columbia, it's estimated last year there was probably going to be somewhere between $400 and $450 million spent on exploration. So we're roughly 15 to 20% of the total expenditures in exploration were actually spent at Blackwater. That gave us a great opportunity to actually get some true benefits derived by hiring a lot of the local contractors from this room and from the region out there. We had about 25% were Aboriginal people, similar to what we had on New Afton, and about 65 to 70% of the people that we hired up on the site, of the 400 people that were on site, were from the local region too as well. One of the things that we consciously looked at doing was, when you're doing a lot of the drilling, and we had close to 19 drill rigs on site at one period when we were peaking last summer, is you generate a lot of drill core, and from that you take a lot of samples. We had close to, I think, 40 geologists alone working on site, actually sampling the rock that we were taking out of there. So we consciously decided to move a sample prep lab, is when they take the samples and actually set them up for analysis to see where the gold and other constituents are. We actually moved that lab from site to Vanderhoof, and the reason we wanted to do that really was to show that, we were committed to the area, that we were committed to getting the dollars back into the communities. And that's been quite successful, and it's still going on, and we expect to see that going on for quite a few years. So as I mentioned, we've invested probably close to $200 million since we took over the project in exploration activities. We've got a big program this year over the next little while, and we fully expect that as we move forward into feasibility and as we move forward through the environmental assessment process, that you'll be hearing a lot more of us in the future here about what we're doing. Mitch is going to talk a little bit more here about some of the things that we've done in the last year or so, some of the services that have been provided to us from a lot of the people in this room, and a little bit more about how we see that going forward over the next few years.
Yeah. Thanks, Tim. So yeah, I started on the project 2 years ago, I guess, when the property was purchased by New Gold. And one of the mandates I had as the project manager was to obviously involve all of the local communities as much as possible. So that's what I did. Some of the examples of what we did there are listed at the bottom of the page here. So all of the industrial supplies, bulk fuel, etc., and you could see all of the items there. Were all purchased locally in Vanderhoof, Prince George areas. So you can see that we invested quite a bit of money in that area. So moving forward for construction, this is sort of what we're thinking. Because we're in feasibility study, obviously there's a lot of information that we don't know to date. So this is high level type information I'm going to give you. And as we move through this year, we'll be able to define that quite a bit clearer as to the approach there. But what we're thinking so far is that the overall responsibility of the project will reside with New Gold's management team. We're currently investigating or considering strategies of engaging a third party to provide EPCM consulting. So that's basically the engineering, the procurement, the construction management of certain portions of the work. Due to the schedule and for us to meet our goals, we need to hedge our bets a bit, and we need to buy some of the major equipment which have long lead time items to be able to meet our aggressive schedule there. So we need to do that by end of this year, I believe. So ahead of the feasibility study being completed, we'll need to start some of the major purchases. We're also, again, the commitment to local. We're exploring ways to divide work, right-size the work, I guess is the best way to say it, into packages that are suitable to some of the local contractors that we have in this area. So to achieve that goal, one of the initiatives I'm going to be undertaking is to conduct a survey of the local industry and meeting with a lot of the people that are probably sitting in this room and discuss basically the project, what we've got to offer, and really get a sense of what they have to offer for the project, understanding what kind of equipment they have, what kind of people they have on staff, and things like that. And that'll help us make better decisions when we go into right-sizing these contracts. So that's, I guess, something that I'm undertaking this year, and we'll be dealing with a lot of you throughout the year on that. One of the other things, obviously, is the potential contractors will need to be able to demonstrate an ability to comply with quality management, health, safety, environmental, and security procedures. At the New Afton project, quality management was one of the things, a bit of a lesson learned there. We engaged, like we were saying, a lot of local contractors, and there were some challenges around quality just because of the work. The smaller type companies weren't geared to deal with that as efficiently. So I want to make sure that when I'm talking to the people that are going to be bidding on this work, that the quality is very important to us to make sure we can build a fantastic facility out there. So I want to make sure that everyone is aware of what we'll need there. So more information will come on that. And as well, we're going to try and identify these packages early on to provide the local people as well with opportunity to gear up if they so choose, that fits their business plan. Some of the opportunities, I guess, that we would have in a mining project of this size, so there are listed here. So some of the items would be a construction and operations camp. So like Tim was saying a while ago, we're going to have construction and operations are two separate things. We'll have probably over 1,000 construction workers, up to 1,500, and then operations camp would be a separate item in a separate location, and that would be to house the people for the longevity of the project. There's the mine and water access road, which is a small section of road that we have to build to gain access. There's a tailings facility, pressure and conveying systems, process plant, process water and tailings piping, administration buildings like you saw in the photos a while ago, structural steel fabrication, warehousing, truck shop and maintenance shops, rail siding and transload stations, power line, which you saw in our map there a while ago, aggregate production and stockpiling, concrete production, laboratory facilities, pipe fabrication and installation. So this is, a small picture, I guess, of really the grand scheme of things. I didn't break it down more than that because I don't know exactly all of the pieces yet, and that's what the feasibility will give us. But I think this next slide is an interesting one. So this is an overview of what we feel are going to be the types of positions that we're going to be required out there to actually operate this mine. So as you can see here, there's a lot of people. You don't see the numbers there, but there's multiples of most of these positions, and 10 or 20 of some. So lots of opportunity here for, obviously, like Kevin was saying a while ago, lots of opportunity for local people. It makes sense. You're close to the project. Our project is camp based, so operations would be living in camp on turnarounds, and so if you're local, it makes way more sense. A bit of an overview of where we are. Tim touched on it a while ago. So we did the exploration, resource delineation, completing this year, I guess, with some of the drilling we're doing, and beginning the feasibility study. Our goal is to finish the feasibility study by end of 2013, and in parallel with that, we're also doing this year the environmental impact assessment, which will continue on into 2014, and beginning construction 2015. So the construction project is scheduled for a 2-year process, completing in 2017, and then starting operations. And then there's the 17-year life, which, like Tim was saying, will probably expand in length, and closure and reclamation would follow, and that would be the overall process. So I'd like to invite Tim to maybe speak about these next steps.
Sure. I think this is our last slide here. We get asked a lot here what our next steps are and where are we going with the project here. My answer to that is to attend a lot of these types of events and to listen. So one of the first things that we're doing, we've had a series of open houses within the direct region of the project in the Vanderhoof, Fort St. James, Burns Lake, Fraser Lake sort of area. Our next step really is to organize a series of open houses within the Prince George to Quesnel-Williams Lake corridor. So you'll be hearing back from us on that. One of the other things that we want to do, and I think this is done in close conjunction, and I thank Heather and the people at Initiatives Prince George, is to really take a look at a skills gap analysis. That helps us take a look at local procurement, but it also gives us a chance to talk to people about what their capabilities are and really look in depth, more importantly, what the potential barriers are, especially when you're looking at large EPCM contracts and where there might be opportunities, as Mitch was saying, to actually debundle and to try to actually break down those contracts so we can get them in the hands of the people where it should be, where we've been so successful in other projects like New Afton. So I think I'll close off at that point, and I know we've got questions coming up in a few minutes, and I'd like to thank everybody for their time, and look forward to seeing you. We do have a booth at the trade show, so invite you to stop by there too as well.